A dolphin kept slamming one buoy over and over, so hard the plastic popped and rang across the marina like a warning bell. And by the time the harbor patrol finally sent divers down to see what was terrifying beneath, the thing tangled under that buoy line had already started dragging everything with it. Seabrook Harbor woke early. It always did. Even before sunrise, the docks breathed with quiet motion. Mast lines creaking, gulls arguing, water slapping pilings, the smell of salt, diesel, and bait mixing into something locals called normal. The marina sat in a protected inlet just off the open coast, ringed by a breakwater and a narrow channel that ferried fishing boats, tour charters, and pilot vessels in and out with the tide. A row of orange buoys marked the safest line through the inlet mouth. They weren't glamorous, but they were the difference between a clean crossing and a propeller meeting rock. Harbor Master Renee Caldwell had worked Seabrook for 15 years and had learned that the ocean didn't need drama to be dangerous. It only needed one overlooked detail, one frayed line, one misread tide chart, one storm that shifted the bottom. Renee was 44, sharp-eyed, fast-walking, and ran the harbor office the way some people ran emergency rooms. Calm voice, busy hands, no patience for stupidity, and an endless ability to triage problems by risk. She knew every boat owner by name, every radio call sign, and every stretch of water where accidents happened most often. That morning, the first call came in before she'd even finished her coffee. "Harbor Office, this is Patrol 1, Officer Jace Morgan said over the VHF, voice clipped. "You're going to want eyes on Buoy 7. Renee glanced at the chart pinned beside her desk. Buoy 7 sat near the inside edge of the channel, not far from the marina mouth, close enough that tourist boats passed it every hour in season. "What's happening?" she asked. "Dolphin activity. One dolphin keeps ramming the buoy. Like, repeatedly. Hard." Renee's eyebrows lifted. Dolphins played with boats and wakes, sure. They rode bow waves, they spun, they nudged floating things sometimes. But ramming one buoy wasn't a normal note on a harbor log. "You sure it's not a seal messing around?" she asked. "Negative. It's a bottlenose, and it's not playful. It's focused." Renee stood, already pulling on her jacket. "Keep distance. No one in the water. I'm coming down." She stepped out onto the dock behind the harbor office and saw it immediately, even from shore. Buoy 7 bobbed in the channel, bright orange against gray-blue morning water, and beside it, a dolphin surfaced, inhaled sharply, then drove its head and upper body into the buoy with a solid whump that sent ripples spreading like shockwaves. The buoy rocked, chain clanking faintly. The dolphin circled once, surfaced again, and slammed it again, harder this time. Tourboat Captain Luis Ortega was fueling his vessel nearby and stared with his mouth open. "That's not normal." Jace's patrol boat idled at a safe distance, 2 officers watching through binoculars. The dolphin surfaced again, fast-breathing, dorsal fin slicing, body tense, and hit the buoy a 3rd time. Renee's instincts shifted from curiosity to concern. Animals could sense things humans missed: vibration, pressure changes, trapped fish, entanglements. A dolphin repeatedly striking an anchored navigation buoy could mean something was snagged beneath it, or something dangerous was moving under it. She keyed her radio. "Patrol 1, keep the channel clear. No boats through Buoy 7 until we verify. I'm calling dive team." Jace hesitated. "You're closing the channel because of a dolphin?" "I'm closing the channel because something is making a dolphin act like this," Renee said flatly. "And I'm not learning what it is by letting a prop wash find it first." Within minutes, word spread across the docks. Fishermen leaned on rails and pointed. Tourists lifted phones. A few boat owners grumbled about delays. Renee ignored them and watched the water. The dolphin didn't stop. It rammed the buoy again, then again, each impact deliberate, followed by a tight circle and a glance downward, as if it expected something under the buoy to respond. Between strikes, it made short, sharp exhalations that sounded almost like angry coughs. "Is it hurt?" Louise asked quietly. Renee shook her head. "If it is, it's still working." Jace's partner, Officer Mara Quinn, raised binoculars. "There's something else," she said. "Look, its right flank, scrapes." Renee narrowed her eyes. The dolphin's skin near the dorsal ridge showed pale abrasion marks, like it had brushed rope or netting. "Entanglement," Renee murmured, "or it tried to free something." That was when she saw the water change. It wasn't obvious at first, just a subtle shift in the way ripples moved around Buoy 7. Then a dark line appeared beneath the surface, sliding past the buoy's shadow like a shadow had thickened into shape. Renee's pulse spiked. "What is that?" Jace leaned forward in his boat. "Could be kelp?" But kelp didn't move like that in a tight, controlled sweep around a buoy. The dolphin slammed the buoy again, hard enough that the buoy dipped lower than it should, and the chain clanked loud. Then the dark line rose slightly, and a piece of something surfaced. Black, rubbery, and not alive. A strip of netting. Renee's jaw tightened. "That's net!" Derelict fishing gear, ghost nets, were a known hazard along the coast. They drifted, snagged, and killed silently. Most were offshore, but storms could drag them into channels. If a ghost net had snagged on Buoy 7's anchor chain, it could spread below like a trap, invisible to boaters until a prop or keel found it. And if it was heavy enough, it could pull the buoy off position. Or worse, drag something under. Renee grabbed the VHF mic. "All vessels, Seabrook Harbor. Channel closure at Buoy 7. Do not transit. Repeat, do not transit. Harbor Patrol enforcing." A chorus of annoyed replies came back. She didn't care. She called the contracted dive team, Seabrook's volunteer divers who worked with the harbor for underwater inspections and emergencies. The team lead, Jonah Pierce, answered with a sleepy voice that became alert within seconds of hearing the words buoy, net, and dolphin. "We're 10 minutes out," Jonah said. "Keep everyone clear and no props in the water." "Already done," Renee replied. While they waited, the dolphin kept ramming. At one point it positioned itself between the buoy and the channel, surfacing in a straight line, like it was guarding the approach. Then it dove, resurfaced at the buoy, and hit it again. "It's trying to get our attention," Louise said softly, voice stripped of jokes now. Renee didn't respond, but she didn't disagree. The dive truck arrived with 2 divers in black wetsuits and tanks, gear clattering. Jonah Pierce stepped onto the dock, scanned the channel, and watched the dolphin slam Buoy 7 again. "Okay," he said, expression hardening. "That's not play." Renee pointed. "We suspect ghost net snagged on buoy chain. Possible entanglement hazard. Dolphin has abrasion marks." Jonah nodded. "We go down tethered. 1 diver on inspection, 1 topside ready. Cut tools, lift bag, surface marker." They launched a small inflatable to approach the buoy without propellers. Jace's patrol boat maintained a perimeter, keeping curious boaters back. Renee stood at the dock edge with a radio in one hand and a hand ready to wave off anyone who tried to argue. The inflatable reached Buoy 7. The dolphin surfaced beside it, exhaled, and circled, still agitated but not fleeing from humans. Jonah clipped his tether line to the inflatable, checked his knife, and rolled backward into the water. The surface swallowed him in a burst of bubbles. The second diver, Talia Nguyen, stayed at the edge of the inflatable, monitoring tether tension and ready to enter if Jonah signaled trouble. A minute passed. Then Jonah's voice crackled through the comm line. "I have net. Big net." Renee's stomach tightened. "How big?" Jonah didn't answer immediately, and the pause felt like the water itself holding breath. Then, "It's not just net. There's something attached." Talia leaned in. "Describe." Jonah's voice dropped, tighter now. There's a section of line. And a heavy object. It looks like a cage. Renee felt cold spread down her spine. A cage? Jonah came back, breathy through the regulator mic. Yes, like a lobster trap cage, but bigger. And it's snagged in the buoy chain. Net is wrapped around it. It's dragging on the bottom. There's movement inside the net. Renee's heart started hammering. Movement like what? Fish? Jonah's response came quickly, sharp. Not fish, something big. I'm moving closer. The dolphin surfaced near the inflatable, slapped the water with its tail once, then slammed the buoy again as if impatient. Talia's eyes flicked to Renee. He's going deeper. Renee's mouth felt dry. Jonah, do you have eyes on what's moving? A few seconds of static. Then Jonah's voice returned, lower, more urgent. Oh, hell! What? Renee barked. It's a person. For a second, Renee couldn't make sense of the words. A person where? In the net, Jonah said. Tangled, under the trap frame. It's snagged around their torso. I can see a hand. They're not moving much. Renee felt the world narrow. The dolphin. The repeated ramming. The terrifying thing below. It wasn't just gear. It was a human caught in ghost net beneath a buoy in a channel. How long? Talia asked. Jonah's voice shook slightly, the first sign he was feeling the weight of it. No idea. They're alive. Barely. Bubbles from mouth area. We need extraction now. Lift bag and cutters. Renee snapped into command mode. EMS to harbor mouth now. Patrol 1. Lock down full channel and clear the dock. I want paramedics staged. Jonah, do not attempt to free without stable control. Don't worsen entanglement. Jonah replied immediately. Copy, but we can't wait long. Current is pulling. The tide was turning. If the net shifted, the person could be pulled deeper or pinned harder against the trap frame. Jonah and Talia worked fast, switching roles. Talia entered the water with a second tether and lift bag, while Jonah stabilized the trapped person's airway pocket by positioning the net so it didn't collapse over the face. Renee watched from shore, jaw clenched, hands shaking slightly despite herself. The dolphin stayed near buoy 7, surfacing in tight circles, slapping the buoy once more, then hovering just outside the inflatable as if monitoring. Jonah's voice came again, strained. We're cutting primary loops. Net is heavy. Trap frame is pinned to chain. Need to free chain first or lift frame. Talia's voice overlapped. Lift bag attached, inflating slowly. Renee heard the faint hiss of air through the comm. A moment later, the buoy itself shifted, just a few inches, as the net and trap lifted slightly off the bottom. The water darkened beneath as debris rose. Then, suddenly, a pale shape surged toward the surface in a burst of bubbles. The trapped person broke water face up, cough sputtering, eyes rolling, hair plastered to their forehead. Jonah and Talia hauled them into the inflatable with practiced urgency, keeping the net from rewrapping around limbs. The person coughed violently and tried to speak, but only a hoarse gasp came out. Got them! Jonah shouted, voice raw with relief. Alive! Renee exhaled so hard she nearly dizzy-stepped backward. The inflatable sped toward the dock with paddles, no engine. Paramedics met them at the edge, pulling the person onto a stretcher, oxygen mask on within seconds, wet blankets wrapped tight. A young man, early 20s maybe, blue lips, rope burns and net abrasions across arms and chest, eyes half open. What's your name? A paramedic demanded. The man swallowed, coughing. Eli. Renee's knees went weak. Another Eli. Another life pulled back from water. Behind them, the dolphin surfaced one more time near buoy 7, exhaled sharply, and then, finally, swam away toward the open inlet, dorsal fin slicing into the gray-blue water as if the job was done. They later learned what happened. Eli Marsh was a deckhand on a small crab boat that had lost gear offshore the previous week in a squall. He'd gone out early that morning, alone, stupidly, on a small dinghy to retrieve a drifting trapline spotted near the channel markers. The ghost net had snagged his dinghy line. When he leaned to free it, the net looped around him and pulled him overboard. The current dragged him toward Buoy 7, where the net had already caught on the anchor chain, pinning him below like a nightmare. His phone was in the dinghy, drifting elsewhere. From the surface, you'd never see him beneath the buoy's shadow and the moving water. Except the Dolphin did. No official report used words like warning. The report said, entanglement incident, diver-assisted rescue, channel closure, derelict gear removal. The harbor filed a hazard notice about ghost nets. A cleanup crew worked the rest of the day, cutting net from the buoy chain and hauling the trap frame to shore. The Coast Guard opened an investigation about illegal or lost gear in the inlet approach. But among the harbor people, the ones who lived by tides and knew how the ocean hid things, everyone told it the same way. A dolphin kept slamming one buoy until humans finally looked underneath. And when they did, they found something terrifying. Because it wasn't the net that was terrifying. It was how close a living person had come to dying in plain sight, under a marker that boats passed every hour, while the morning still looked calm.